What's up, iHeart Country? It's Kameron Marlowe, and here's an inside look at my new album, We Were Cowboys. Check it out on the free iHeartRadio app, and let me know what you think. This album means the world to me. Not everyone gets to record a full-length album and do it with someone like Dan Huff and really just put everything they have into it. I mean, we worked endlessly, tirelessly, texting back and forth, calling back and forth, just making sure that everything is absolutely perfect on this record. And not everybody gets to do that, so I'm very blessed and very thankful that I get to have made my first record. So We Were Cowboys is all about kind of how I grew up. We wrote this out in Wyoming, me, Tyler Farr, and Wyatt McCubbin. And we were sitting out on the back porch, and when we were out there, I had my guitar, and I was just kind of playing this guitar lick, which is the opening lick of the song. And we didn't know what it was, but Tyler kind of came up and was like, what if we wrote a song called We Were Cowboys? So we had to think about that a little bit, and then Wyatt kind of spit out the first lines of the song. It was like, Daddy watched John Wayne on a corduroy couch. We didn't know Texas from a hole in ground, but it roped me in. And then we were like, oh, now we get where this is going. We're gonna write this guy's life from when he was just a young kid till he's growing up, going to high school and stuff like that. It turned out to be all of our stories, and we were super proud of the way that it turned out. Country Boy's Prayer kind of came out of nowhere to me. I was sitting at the house, and I hadn't really been looking for songs at this point. I was just kind of like, if someone sent me a song, I'd listen to it obviously, but I wasn't really looking. And then my buddy Dan Isabel sent me a song that he wrote with Casey Beathard and his brother Reed Isabel. And I had to take a listen to it, obviously, because I love to listen to new songs. So it started out and it had this really cool guitar line that also is the opening to the song now. And I remember hearing that and I was like, it caught me off guard, and immediately it just kind of drug me into the song. And I think what really drew me to the song completely was in the chorus when it talks about Grandpa watching through the pearly gates, talking about how the Grandpa wanted the high school team to win state. That's, I mean, my grandpa. I mean, when I lost him last year, and he was always at every single Friday night football game and would have craved to see A.O. Brown win. So it just felt like home to me. The song felt like everything that represented me and my story, so I could not cut it. Girl on Fire was written between me, Josh Osborne, and Jason Gant. And this was the last song I actually wrote for the record. It was very last minute. I think we were going into cut in, I think, 2 weeks. And I was not prepared at all for this write. I just already had my mind made up on the songs that I was wanting. And I had this title on my phone that's also an Alicia Keys song, Girl on Fire. I was like, how do we write this? And I wanted to write it obviously a different way than Alicia Keys, but I didn't know if they would be into it, and they weren't. They were like, let's change the title to On Fire. And I was like, okay. So I let it live like that, and I actually wrote probably my favorite line ever that I've ever written in that. So I wonder if those whispering pines ever told our secrets. And I think when we said that, it kind of set the picture up for the song and for the story that we're about to tell about these two kids. And we finished up, and I listened to the demo about 30 times, and I was just like, it's got to go on the record. I couldn't imagine not having it out there. So the song Giving You Up is my true story. I wrote this one by myself back in Carolina before I'd even came to Nashville and really started pursuing music. I had this girl that I was planning on being married to. I had a ring, I had a house, I had a car that I was just excited about growing up and really having this new life. And 2 weeks before I was gonna propose, she was like, I just don't think this is gonna work out anymore. And I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. So my life had kind of flipped on its head. So I just started coming to Nashville, and I started writing songs. And one night I came home and I was feeling real down. So I just wanted to write some things that I had in my head that I didn't want to say to her personally. And I turned out to be writing a song, and I would have never guessed it. And that song's changed my life. So Does It Have to Be Over kind of came from a writing retreat. We were sitting down, it was me, Josh Hogue, Wyatt McCubbin, and we just were like looking for a cool, just different song, a different style song. So I can't remember who had the title, but they threw that out there, and Wyatt is just one of the best guitar players I've ever met. So he starts playing this super cool guitar thing, which is where a lot of my songs start, is from a good lick that really starts the song out. And it kind of just formed, and we didn't really know where it was going, but we knew it was different, and we chased that different sound, and that's kind of how the song came about. For this song, I'll leave it up to the listener's interpretation for it, but it is kind of about a one-night stand. So This Old Town was written while we were out in Wyoming with Tyler Farr and Wyatt McCubbin. And when we were growing up, we all kind of had the same background, same kind of style of living. And we kind of wanted to tell another story about how it was, because when we moved out of our town, we didn't look back until we did. And when we look back, we realized, dang, we love that town. And it's something that's about us and something that we will never forget, even though we don't get to go back as much as we want to. But when we were younger, I felt like all I wanted to do was leave. And I never really cared for the town. I always wanted to find something new and go to a different town and see what they had that was a little better than mine. And now all I can think about is coming back home. Money Ain't Shit was a random song that got sent to me. It was in a big link of songs, and I had gone through them, and I think the third one down was called Money Ain't Shit. Now, I usually listen from top to bottom, but I had to listen to it, obviously, because the title was just eye-catching as can be. And when I listened to it, I really just found how much truth was in that song. Is one of those things where you have all these worldly possessions, and people always are chasing more and more of things that you can't take when you die. And I think that's how I've really tried to live my life, and what I really have always been taught when I was growing up, and that's that my family's never gonna leave me. My friends always are there for me. And at the end of the day, I really think that money just really doesn't matter. Fool Me Again was a song that wasn't really being planned on being written. Nobody had a title for it. Nobody really knew where we were going with the song. I was at my buddy Rob Williford's house. We were kind of sitting up in his studio, and we were listening to a bunch of songs that we loved, and he picked up his guitar and just started playing this 6/8 thing that just kind of, for me, like a 6/8 groove just really speaks to me and really makes me want to write. And we kind of sat there, and I was kind of humming around to melodies and things like that, and we were just really vibing with the way that the song was flowing. And I think I accidentally said "Fool Me Again," and he was like, "Did you just say fool me again?" I was like, "Yeah, I just said fool me again." He was like, "That's what we're writing." And I had prior experiences with a girl that kind of made me easily write this song, if that makes sense. It was just really kind of an easy song to write once we got into it. Me and Rob started it, and then we took it to our buddies, the Warren Brothers, who helped us finish it, and it's one of my favorite songs on the album. So Burn 'Em All is one of those songs that I wrote like right as I moved into Nashville. It was one of the first probably 15 songs. I remember writing it to a point where we didn't really know where this song was going, because Burn 'Em All is a weird title. We all know that. I think I've met so many people that have called it Burn 'Em Down, Burn 'Em Up. There's a bunch of different Burn 'Em taglines, but not Burn 'Em All. And I think it was Brinley Addington, he was one of the writers on this song. I think he brought the title to us, and we all kind of looked at him like he was crazy. He was like, how do you write something like that? But once we started piecing the story together, the song came together, and I felt like it had to live on the album. So Steady Heart is a love song that really just, I feel like, resonates with a lot of people, because there's like this really hard side and this guy that's just like really stubborn and can't really change his ways. And then there's this sweet side, and it's this girl that really just always loves him through all the hardship. And they just make this great couple for some reason. And I think that there's so many people that have that kind of relationship. So it's another one of my favorite ones I wrote. Over Now was the last song that made the record, and we had already been in the process of cutting the record, which is really stressful, because like when you already have the songs picked, you're like, well, do I move one? Do I take one out? And I was like, no, we're just gonna add it. And this one just really, it had this sound that I can't explain. I still can't explain it. I don't know what sound it is, but it just reminds me of something that I listened to when I was young. And the chorus feels so recognizable, and in a way that I couldn't get it out of my head. So once I heard it, it was just kind of game over for me. Saying Goodbye was another song that I had had this song for a long time. My buddy had sent it to me a while back, and I had always loved it, and it was kind of my guilty pleasure listen. And we were talking one night, and I was like, dude, you know what? Like, are you doing anything with Saying Goodbye? And he was like, no, I don't think I'm going to. And I was like, well, can I cut it? And we had this like talk about it, and he was like, dude, absolutely, you can cut it. But I think it's so real, the way that it's written, because like I've been there with a heartbreak before, and you can just really feel the emotion in the song. Ain't Enough Whiskey was kind of a whim. I wanted to write a blues song really bad, and the writers that I was writing with were not really having it. They were like, I don't know if we should really write a blues song. But me, blues is a big way of like my upbringing. I love country and I love blues and I love rock, and I have all these different inspirations. So I wanted to at least have a blues song just to say I wrote one. And I think they didn't think that it was going to get cut if it was a blues song, so I was like kind of showing them up when I cut it. But this song just really speaks about this guy who is sitting at a bar just thinking about this girl that has just walked out on him, and now he's like, what do I do? So the only thing left he can think of to do is drink. I guess that's how it goes. I don't know. Running Out on You is one of those songs that just makes you feel something. And this song is really just about these two people that have tried and they've tried and they've tried, and it just, for some reason, they can't get on the same page. So somebody's got to make the first move to leave, and this guy is the one who's making the first move to leave. I wanted to do this song with just me, acoustic and steel guitar, so you could really just feel the emotion. It's got a very George Jones-esque kind of heartbreak feel to it that just really stands out, and you don't really hear often anymore. And that goes back to some of the songs that I used to love when I grew up. Ooh, Granny's Got a Garden is gonna get me in trouble. My grandma is going to be a little mad, but the real story behind it is when I was young, I found out that my grandma had started smoking weed, and I had partaken in weed as well, if I want to say it like that, and kind of showed up at her house one day, and she could smell it immediately, obviously, because she knew exactly what it smelled was. I was like, she'll never know. I'll spray myself down. She'll never know. Well, I come in, I give her a big hug. She was like, have you been smoking? I said, well, I wasn't going to lie to my grandma, so I said, well, yes, I'm sorry, Grandma, I can leave. I didn't mean to offend you. And she was like, well, I need to talk to you back here. So she brings me in her back room, and out pulls a jar of weed, starts rolling a joint faster than I'd ever seen anybody roll it, and that was the first time I got to smoke with my grandma. So there was I had all the reasons in the world that I had to write a song about my granny. Sorry, Grandma. Long Way Down is one of those songs that immediately takes you to a time and place. I know exactly where it takes me. It takes me to like the Allman Brothers era. It's just this old school Southern rock anthem song, and the way that we cut it was old school Southern rock anthem, and that's exactly how it should be cut. It's the coolest song in the world. It's one of my favorites, totally. That's why I had to be the last song to just really end the project and wrap the project up. And we have some great choir backgrounds, some awesome guitar parts, some cool solos. It's really, really such a cool song.